I'm Jade Gustman, the producer of God Hears Her. Today, I want to share about a brand new, super exciting Bible study and film series coming from Our Daily Bread Ministries. It's called Unshakable Moxie, and trust me, you will not want to miss it. Before it launches, we wanted to dig into the heart behind the project with the director, Julie Richardson. We wanted to learn about her experiences and where the passion for this project comes from. At the end of our time together, we will also be premiering our new trailer for the upcoming series. Julie, I am so excited to be with you today and just to learn more about this project. But before we get into it, can you just tell me what Unshakable Moxie is?
Absolutely, Jade. I am excited. Whenever I tell somebody about Unshakable Moxie for the first time, they usually say, "Oh, that's intriguing. Unshakable Moxie, I like that. What is moxie?
Yeah.
It's awesome."
Yeah.
And I tell them, moxie means courage and determination. And so to me, if you're a follower of Jesus, you should be walking in moxie. I'm excited about it because it's so different than anything that's out there right now. We're taking two young women on a quest, Moriah Smallbone and Toni Collier, and they're going on this quest to meet with different women of moxie. And the different women that they're meeting with have been through adversity, they've been through suffering, they've been through trials, they've been through hardships. And they're actually going to meet with them to find out how have they been able to have that moxie, maintain that nearness to Jesus and not give up on that relationship with the Lord. This is actually, we're going into their houses. We're going to have intimate conversations where you're going to be laughing with these women. You're going to be crying. You're going to be experiencing a deep, rich time. It's absolutely wonderful. And so that's Unshakable Moxie.
I love that. And I love the authentic, having these women just in their homes, having that natural conversation with them. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
So how have you seen God working in the midst of this project?
I just think of one thing off the top of my head. So Toni and Moriah are, our two hosts, and they're on this journey. And so when you think about these two hosts that don't know each other, the first time that they meet is on set, and we were praying like crazy. And when we got to see the chemistry that they had, like literally anointed, the way they are, it's as if they've been best friends for years. We had the scene over in Chattanooga, and they're on a carousel together. And as Toni and Moriah are on this carousel, they're looking at to see what their horses' names are. Toni realizes the name of her horse is Moriah, spelled exactly like Mariah, Moriah. It's so awesome because we captured it on camera, so you see it actually in the film. And she just can't believe that she's, out of all the random horses that she picked, she's on this horse named Moriah. And little things like this kept happening throughout that whole first episode that confirmed for Toni, who struggles with trusting people, and for Moriah, who struggles with trusting people, this is from the Lord. I can trust God in this. And that just went on to the next scene, which was a courtyard scene. And in that courtyard scene, they are so authentic and so raw and so real. There's no other way it could have happened but by the anointing of the Lord.
That is amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah. So many things. I could go on and on. So many things.
I would love to hear more of them later on, because that is just crazy how God was winking at them and just having those moments of connection. Yeah. That's crazy. So Julie, why is moxie so important to you?
When I was a young girl, I came to know Jesus. It was through my mom's testimony. She's really been my biggest inspiration for Unshakable Moxie. She actually watched a television show with a bunch of stories of people who came to know Jesus, and it changed their life. And so she ended up praying with the host to receive Christ, and her life literally transformed. And so my brother, my dad, and I, all within that same year, we came to know Jesus because of Mom's testimony, because she was a completely different person. She was a woman of moxie her whole life. But for the first 20 years of my Christian walk, I did not live with this unshakable moxie. I listened to the voices of the world, and I started to veer off and listen to voices of, relationship and materialism and get the right career path and all of the things. And so as I did that, I obtained all the things. I got married. I ended up getting a stellar job out of college, and we were financially set. But within a couple of years of my marriage, I had lost my job, and I found out that my spouse was cheating on me. My husband was cheating on me. And by the time I was 25 years old, I went through a divorce.
Oh, Julie.
And it was horrific. Yeah. I mean, I was disillusioned. I was deeply hurt, and I didn't understand why God would allow something like that. After that time, the Lord sent a couple people into my path people of Moxie, people that kind of reminded me of my mom, people that the Lord brought into my path. They had come to know Jesus, and their lives were so different. They were so filled with peace and joy and love that I was drawn in, and I thought, I want what they have. Yeah. And so it was a turning point for me, and I came close to Jesus, and I surrendered everything to him. I realized he's the only one that's trustworthy. And so once I surrendered to the Lord, I had no idea, Jade, how close Jesus could be. Like, he just loves us so deeply. Like, I didn't know, like, it just blew my mind. So this walk of Moxie that I've had for the last 20 years, so the first 20 years, not, but the last 20 years has been amazing. And I want other people to experience that. And that's like what Moxie has been birthed out of. It's been birthed out of my desire for other people to know, how do I walk closely with Jesus? How do I cling to him in the midst of adversity and in the midst of hardship and trial and suffering? Because that is, our world is surrounded with it. But how do I cling to him? And so this show, Unshakable Moxie, is all about how to do that.
That's beautiful, Julie. And I know those are questions that a lot of people have, so it'll be really important to see that in the show. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your heart behind this project, Julie. And we can just see your passion for it, and it just makes me so much more excited. I love it. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, let's hear from co-hosts Toni Collier and Moriah about why they are excited about their roles in Unshakable Moxie.
Hi, I'm Moriah, co-host of Unshakable Moxie. Filming Unshakable Moxie has really made a difference in my life, particularly because I started this project right as I turned 30. And I've been dying to be 30 since I was probably about 12 years old. I think it's because I feel like in my 30th year, some of the things that I have spent all of my life chasing after are slightly more within reach. Depth, character, understanding, empathy, kindness, all of these things are born out of a lot of times failure and pain and grief. And I've had enough of that in my life at this point to go, now, how do we turn these painful things into pieces of gold? And each of the women that we're interviewing have walked through that process time and time again. And I want to learn from them. Initially, in agreeing to be a part of this project, I was a bit nervous, maybe even a bit cautious, because when I looked at the group of women that we were going to be interviewing, I was nervous that I wouldn't have anything in common with them. I was nervous that I was so different from them that we would clash and we wouldn't be able to have honest dialogue. But what I learned looking back is that conflict and disruption and differences really turn up the soil of our souls and show us what we have in common instead. I would have never thought that I would get along so well with a woman in her 70s who's been wheelchair bound for most of her life. I would have never known that I would laugh so hard with a woman who's a painter and a mother of 5 boys. I think when we get into proximity, we are given the gift of empathy. I think it's important for people to take in the truth and the wisdom of this series, because when you do, you will begin to shift your perspective in how you see other women and how you see other men and how you see yourself and how you see God. I think after having all of these interviews, I realized it's kind of cocky to think that any one of us has a corner on the market of understanding who God is. God is this limitless mystery, and in having conversations with so many different women and in learning their different perspectives of the kindness of God, the justice of God, the goodness of God, the intensity of God, the intimacy of God, all of that, you just realize I got a lot to learn here. So I hope that you take in this series and that you are stretched and that you're challenged in how you see the wider world around you.
Well, I'm excited to be a part of Unshakable Moxie for so many reasons. I mean, getting to meet Moriah was incredible. The Our Daily Bread team was incredible. And who doesn't want to travel around the United States, right? And interview incredible women that are on fire and passionate for Jesus, but also have been gifted this beautiful purpose that's manifested in so many different ways through gifts, talents, through legacy building, through radical racial reconciliation. I mean, this was an opportunity for me to grow as a woman of God, but also someone who's in professional ministry. So, I mean, that's like the most exciting thing, meeting new people and also getting the opportunity to learn from other women. It's changed me in ways that I think I'm experiencing now, but also in ways that I think will last for generations, that'll be imparted into my daughter and even my son. So yeah.
We are thrilled to have Toni and Moriah as the co-hosts of this incredible series. Their fun personalities and insightful questions are sure to resonate with you. Join them as they talk with Reverend Dr. Bernice King, Ruth Jo Simons, Katie Lewis, Johnny Erickson Tada, and Lena Abujamra. As a bonus, we have created a Bible study to go along with the series that is perfect for time with a small group. We are so grateful that one of the guests, Lena Abujamra, is the writer of the Bible study, since she was featured in the project.
Well, honestly, when I was asked to do Moxie, it came out of nowhere. It felt like who am I? Why are they going to ask me to do something like that? But right away, I was really attracted to the concept of strength. I think generally I'm one of these people who I consider myself sort of a strong woman. I'm single, live in Chicago, sort of Christian, standing up against the world, all those sort of things. But I find it's really been challenging to think about the concept of strength as it pertains to what it means to be a woman. How do you balance those two things? And one of the gifts of watching, and being part of this project is the idea that everyone sort of reflects strength in a different way. I think if you've watched my episode or when you watch the episode, you'll see a side of me comes out that looks very weak to a certain degree. And I think, sometimes I think, man, that's I'm stronger than that. And yet I find that in the scriptures as I've studied God's heart, brokenness is strength. And so I think there's just really been good to sink my feet into this truth of what it looks like to be biblically and strong and to be like Christ in our strength, especially as women. I think there's an integrity to approaching a topic and to really questioning, what does God say about this? And I think, the uniqueness of the Moxie Bible study is that it really is a complementarian study to the story of these women that we're looking at week after week. So, and I think when you think about the Bible is a story about God, right? We know that. It's a story about Jesus and God's plan to redeem us through Jesus. But also in it are these stories of men and women from Genesis to Revelation. People are a part of God's story. We're not the central part, but we're a part of it. And I think sometimes we can look at the Bible as like a story about these people who somehow were holier than us or more chosen than us. And I think in looking at the episodes of Moxie and bringing to life these women who are followers of Christ and committed to him, we're a part of it too, right? I mean, we're not in the biblical canon, but there is a sort of a continuity to the story of how we fit into God's story that I think both watching the videos and studying the passages and the scriptures that are brought into the study is unique. And I think it helps each of us, even though you're not reading about your story per se, it is about you. And it is about every person who's watching it to understand that Christianity and walking with Christ isn't just for other people who may be better than us or, living with, less headaches, less difficulties, but it's for us, people, men and women, of course, in this context, mostly women who have problems and face difficult circumstances, but who serve a God who is with us in every bit of it. And so I think there is a mentorship process that the Moxie study and the Moxie videos feed, nourish, that I think reminds us of the importance of having that, sort of big sister, sort of person in our life that we can come alongside. So that if you're in a place right now where you're like, I want that, I just don't have it, well, I think the study offers you this. It says, this might not be perfect, but here's a gift of someone you can model your life after. So I think it's unique and really helping us to connect the dots of how God longs to use us and to show his strength in us no matter what we're going through. And I think it's extremely encouraging to stay in that place for a while. So I found that this project gives you this realness and this credibility and this authenticity that I think our culture hungers for right now. And so I think you're going to really enjoy some of those episodes in a way that I believe is very accessible to us and that I've enjoyed. And I hope you enjoyed meeting me too.
Unshakable Moxie is an amazing Bible study for you and your church family to watch and explore together. The study is available next month, and it will make such a great late spring or early summer study for you and your small group or church to do together. Please visit the Moxie website linked in the post to pre-order and watch the first full episode of the show. We hope you are just as excited as we are about this. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned to watch the trailer.
I don't want to be a part of something where we're just throwing, Christian language and slapping scriptures all over stuff.
This is Moriah. She's smart, witty, and incredibly fun, and an amazing creative.
This is Toni. She's a little wild, refreshingly candid, and an overcomer.
We're women from 2 different backgrounds
And 2 different cultures.
with different viewpoints on life.
We want to invite you to join us on a cross-country journey as we meet new friends.
We'll laugh and cry.
And I remember thinking, this is Jesus.
We want to learn from women who've not only survived adversity, but thrived with a resilient faith.
Women with the courage to wait and listen to the voice of God.
I would rather be in this wheelchair knowing Jesus like I do than be on my feet.
Women of Moxie.